Today, we're going to talk about Mike Tyson hates for planes, Jorge Masvidal not impressed with Khamzat Chimaev, Dana White's net worth, Joe Rogan insists that the UFC shouldn't put Conor McGregor in there with Kamaru Usman just yet, and more. So stay tuned to the end of the video. The former heavyweight champion Mike Tyson got into a physical altercation with a man while he was on a plane that was preparing to fly from San Francisco to Florida. From the video of the incident posted by TMZ, Tyson could be seen landing several blows on a passenger who had continually provoked him. According to the friend of the man who was also on the flight, Tyson had earlier taken a selfie with the man, but later got angry when he refused to let him be. A spokesperson for Tyson reported that, unfortunately, Mr. Tyson had an incident on a flight with an aggressive passenger who began harassing him and threw a water bottle at him while he was in his seat. The video of this incident got a reaction from lots of people on social media. Jake Paul took to Twitter to say, "If you're being heckled in public like Mike Tyson was, you should legally get a whole pass to beat someone's ass. This generation thinks they can get away with anything." Here's the footage from TMZ.
Hey, Mike, come on.
JetBlue, mid flight.
Dana White also posted a video where Tyson had pranked him by slapping and kicking him out of his seat on a private jet in 2014. In the video, the Boxing Hall of Famer said, "Hey, move it." Dana White then responded by saying, "I like this seat." Tyson replied saying, "I like it better." He then got into the seat and added, "This is nice." In addition, Dana referenced Tyson's recent altercation in a tweet which read, "Hey dummies, for future reference, this is how you stay alive while bumping into @Mike Tyson on an airplane." Everyone might be quick to conclude how good Khamzat Chimaev is, but Jorge Masvidal, who's not too impressed, feels Chimaev doesn't deserve that much hype yet. While speaking on Logan Paul's podcast, Gamebred claimed that Chimaev was being used by the UFC to make money and gain more ground in Arabic countries. I don't think of him. He hasn't fought anybody. He's got a while to go. He's got to go fight some guys first, Masvidal said of the undefeated Chimaev. They talk big about everyone they think they can get money from. They know that he can bring in those Arabic countries that got a lot of money. But as far as him having fought and beaten guys, I haven't seen one guy yet that he's beaten and I'm like, okay, he beat somebody good. Presently, Chimaev is ranked number 3 in the UFC welterweight and is now at 5-0 in the UFC and 11-0 in total. As an MMA fan, the name Dana White must surely ring a bell. In fact, you cannot successfully talk about the UFC without mentioning its president, in person of Dana White. Over the years, the UFC has grown to become a multi-million-dollar industry. Most of this growth came under the leadership of White. Now, the question is, what is the annual salary and net worth of this UFC president that's brought a lot of fame and wealth to the UFC? Presently, Dana White's net worth is about $500 million, and most of this money came from sponsors, TV deals, and pay-per-views. White earns $20 million yearly, and he spends most of it in buying cars and mansions. His car collection includes a Ferrari F430, a 1969 Chevy Camaro, and a Bentley. White has mansions in Pine Island Court, Las Vegas in 2006, which he bought from Frank Ferretti III for $1.95 million. The UFC president is set to achieve more feats in the MMA world. You always think that there's going to be that day when, if we get to this level, then we can kind of cruise a little bit and kick back. But there's no cruise, said White. There's no kickback. This thing is just a beast, and it just goes and goes and goes and goes. Last Saturday, Tyson Fury defeated Dillian Whyte via a KO at Wembley Stadium. The UFC heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou gave the boxing champion a surprise appearance in the ring. Fury and Ngannou both did a joint interview, where Tyson stated that his bout with Whyte might be his last in boxing. However, he also added that he was open to a meeting with Ngannou. Fury told ESPN that, "I'm the boxing heavyweight champion, he's the UFC heavyweight champion. He's in great shape, look at the muscles on him." Ngannou, who's still recovering from a knee surgery which he suffered from the last UFC title, declared that, "I want to find out who is the baddest mother effer in the planet." Fury then took the interview to a funny dimension by asking about the size of Ngannou's manhood. "He's a good-looking chappy, ain't he?" said Fury, before asking Ngannou, "Have you got a big Corey?" The term Corey in Fury's question refers to the male genitalia in British slang. Ngannou, who's from Cameroon, was clueless about this, and it left him looking confused. Fury laughed it off and explained what it meant to Ngannou. Then, the interview returned back to fighting, and Fury said, "This is going to be a very special fight, like never before in the history of our sport. It's going to be an explosive fight when it happens." Ngannou added, "It'll be a hybrid fight with different kinds of rules. MMA gloves in the ring, kind of like a mix-up, a little bit different." Dustin Poirier and Gilbert Burns are both in need of opponents for the next fight. Poirier's last fight was against Charles Oliveira at the UFC 269, while Gilbert Burns last fought at the UFC 273. In the quest for an opponent, Poirier tweeted, "I want to fight." Gilbert Burns, who seems to be ready for a fight at welterweight, indicated interest by replying with the tweet 170. Apart from Burns, another UFC fighter in the person of Belal Muhammad also responded to Poirier's tweet. However, Muhammad wasn't looking for an opponent. "Let's go jump Colby Covington," Muhammad joked in response to Poirier's tweet. On the other hand, Nate Diaz has asked the promotion countless times to book him for a fight against Poirier. Nate Diaz has just one fight remaining in his current UFC contract, and he plans to retire after this fight. "I would like to fight Dustin Poirier, like now," Diaz said. "Like I've been trying to. If there's any mix-up, it's him and them and the game." The UFC welterweight contender Belal Muhammad called out fellow contenders Colby Covington and Khamzat Chimaev after his last bout against Vicente Luque. The two fighters which Muhammad called out are expected to meet this year in a fight night event on ABC. Surprisingly, this fight has not yet been booked. Muhammad doesn't believe that he'll be fighting with the Chechen native next. According to him, Covington will not be accepting the challenge against Chimaev. I tell people, they're like, "Oh well, Khamzat's gonna fight Colby." And I'm like, Colby's not taking that fight. Look who Colby is fighting. Look who Colby is calling out. He's calling out lightweights. Now that his tooth is broken, he's probably going to be on the sideline for a couple of years until he gets money from Jorge Masvidal. I don't think Colby's going to take a fight with either of us. He's looking for somebody off losses. Or he's looking for a lightweight. Or I think he's probably going to call out a Nate Diaz or a Nate Diaz. He's going to wait on the sidelines for one of those types of fights. I just don't think he's going to take any tough matchups really. How true are Belal Muhammad's comments? Do you think he'll be getting the fight against Chimaev? The UFC analyst and podcast host Joe Rogan has advised that the former two-division champion needs a tune-up fight before a bout with Kamaru Usman. According to Joe Rogan, it would be a terrible mistake on the part of the UFC if Conor is matched up immediately with Kamaru Usman, considering the fact that he suffered from back-to-back losses before his injury. If Conor wants the most chance of success, I would say fight a guy who's a little below championship level. Rogan said during a recent appearance on Hot Boxing with Mike Tyson. Maybe like a guy on the come-up who Conor has an advantage over, but it's still a competitive fight. Give him a test, but don't put him in there right away with Usman. I think, honestly, when boxers come back from a long layoff and they come back from a loss, one thing that boxers do that's smart is they have a tune-up fight. I think there's a reason why they've been using tune-up fights forever, like astute managers. They know you got to knock the dust off. You'll be better in the next performance. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and also turn on your notifications. We'll be reading out our top comments in the near future. And make sure to watch our other videos to find out all the latest news in MMA.